Hi, I'm Steve Parker, founder and CEO of The Profitable Dentist.
And I'm Gary Cady, founder and CEO of Next Level Practice.
Together, we have over 50 years of experience helping dental practices overcome hurdles and achieve the success they deserve.
We wanted to speak with successful dentists to see what problems they faced and how they overcame them.
So we're teaming up for a road trip across America to showcase practices that have set the bar for excellence.
Join us as we go behind the mask. Today we're visiting New London Dental Associates of New London, Ohio. New London is a rural community of about 2,500 people and a thriving agricultural industry. But being a dentist in a town where cows outnumber residents presents its unique set of struggles. Dr. Josh Merrill and his wife Natasha have managed to navigate their way through the cornfields and pave their way to prosperity. Today, we're going to hear exactly how they've done it.
Really, Steve?
This is it. This is New London.
Are you kidding me? Where the heck are we?
You know, just look around here. This is amazing.
It really is amazing. What a great place. Look, the telephone building over there. That's pretty awesome.
All right, New London Dentistry, a city of 2,500. Let's check it out. So I'm Steve Parker, CEO of Profitable Dentist magazine, and now it's really time for us to get behind the mask. And what we're doing here is really trying to figure out, how you guys have gotten through all your struggles and your wins and your losses and how you've navigated those waters, and maybe give a little hope and share what you've done with other practice owners around the country in the same situation. So you good with that? Absolutely. All right.
Well, we got the trend analyst with us. Mm-hmm. This guy knows like what's happening all across the U.S. And one of the things that we found when I met you, and it's so great to be here with you. I got to tell you, it's like beyond the words can't describe being here, knowing you, knowing the journey you've taken, and then to experience where you are and where you're going, and actually see it. It really touches my soul on a deep level. So thank you for allowing us to come into your world and really just like get into like the nuts and bolts, because one of the things that inspired us to come here today, and we're doing this all across the U.S., and we've chosen you because there's so many rural practices out in the U.S. and so often they get stuck. So often they go, well, this is all there is. So often there's not any new growth, let's say, of companies, and there's a finite amount of people, and how do we grow? And you did it. And so, but it wasn't easy, right? And so that's what I also admire about you, is the deep-rooted courage that it takes to take some of the moves that you made. But you'll also give freedom and peace to people hearing this, because I think it'll allow them to that they have hope to do the same thing. So starting out, we met. I remember your CPA invited you to an event that I was speaking at, and I was privileged to be there. And we met, and you said, let's get started. What, if you recall when we first started, like where were you at that time? Like if you can remember back to 2016, where were you? Where was the mindset of your practice, your life? What was it like?
Before I went down there, I was about 2 seconds away from selling my practice. I had received a flyer in the mail asking if anybody's willing to sell their practice, and I had it, and I almost called the number. And I decided that I'm going to go down. I knew I was going to see you. I'm just going to see what you had to say, see if it would, help me in any way. And it turned out to be one of the best decisions we've ever made.
Wow, that's great, Josh. And what was it like for you, mom and wife and CFO and all the things that you are, Natasha? Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for coming. We're excited to have you guys. In one word, uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Super uncomfortable. It was the unknown, to not know if anything would work here in New London. So.
But it's a special place because it's like very homey and it's warm. Like just driving in, you pass a general store and it's a special place, and you want to live and bring up your family here, right? And so how do you have a business and run a family and make it all work? And I'll tell you quite frankly, when I looked at your numbers, I could see why you would want to give this up at that point. I mean, it's mind-blowing to me because most of the time we only know people in the present time, but to actually sit down and prepare for our conversation today, to look at your numbers just touched me to know that you were surviving under those conditions. Just simply amazing. Yeah, I mean, incredible, right, Steve?
And we shared those on the way here. And I told Gary, I work with a lot of dentists. I work with a lot of key opinion leaders in dentistry. And I said, you could get 25 of the smartest people in dentistry in a room, show them this situation, a one-stoplight town of 2,500 people, and look at your numbers, and they would say, from 2016, and they would say, that's about all you're going to do. And you guys have totally just blown that out of the water. So I'm very interested to get into that conversation about the numbers and how it happened, and your feelings and thoughts, and when you first looked at that, and Gary said, yeah, you can do this. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you'd like to be in somebody's head, and you're smiling and being polite, but at the same time, you got to know what you're thinking. But yeah, you guys have just done an amazing thing in this kind of environment. There are a lot of people out there like you, looking at the same situation.
And that's what we're hoping is if we can do it, then anybody can. It is possible.
So Josh, I can just see in the parking lot here and getting in your car, and you had a different car then, right? I felt what it felt like for you to like have no future, no hope. What brought you to that place? Like, what were some of the things that had you realize, like, hey, I don't know if this is going to work?
It was basically, I knew how to do the dentistry, but I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know how to lead a team. I micromanaged this place to death, and because I felt like I had to be in control of everything. And that micromanaging, unbeknownst to me, was dragging me down. Not only from a numbers and production standpoint, but just from a mental health standpoint as well. I was getting overloaded with all of the stuff I was trying to do, as opposed to trusting my team around me to do the things that they were very capable of doing.
Yeah, I get it. How about for you, Natasha? You said uncomfortable. What brought your uncomfortableness?
I'm giving up. Like, not giving up, but giving that control, allowing him to take the role that he could take.
Yeah.
And he's very capable of. And then allowing myself to just be me and not have to control everything here.
Right.
When we got married, my intention was never to be here. I had my own career. And I did it because that's what was, I guess, expected of me at that point in time, but I wouldn't change it.
Yeah, it was like you defaulted into it. And we see this all the time. Spouses, we work with almost everybody, we have a spousal relationship because they're private practitioners and it's a family business. And you live in the emotions of like deciding how to spend money and like seeing the money and having to disperse the money and pay the bills and like that stress, plus he's trying to produce it, and it's like it probably affected your family life too, I would suspect, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
You know, it was never left here. It came home with us. And when he came down to see you, we were living with his parents. We were trying to build a house. So on top of that stress and then the stress from here, it never left.
It was not a good situation.
It was not good.
You were trying to build a life for yourself. And you had these talented hands. You're a caring, loving mom and a wife, and you wanted it to all work. And it was just, you had some things missing. And sometimes you can't see the things that are missing, right? And once they come into view, you can take new actions. And that's the beginning of your future, right? That day you started to see like, oh, if I had some structure around business and people and management, because if you missed the half hour in dental school, right? They didn't train you how to be a leader and a manager and a marketer and a business person and systems and process and all that, you know? So when that happened, all of a sudden you got to see that, hey, your hands are amazing. As a dentist, a clinician, you're amazing, but there's other parts of running a successful dental practice. We call them the 4 performance pillars. One is purpose. Like, what's the purpose? Is it drill, fill, and bill? Or, you know, that's your purpose. What can it be? And then we look at what's the process? What are the processes? How do you answer the phone? How do you educate a patient? How do you run your numbers? Like, how do you do all that? And then from there, you got people. And like, how do you empower these people like you talked about earlier? And then in today's world, the 4th P is platforms. So really having a platform that does your analytics, does your training, takes away all the stuff that an automation can do, and then you can be related in educating patients and being customer service oriented, right? And those are some of the key elements of running a practice, and that's what you heard that day. I look back at my notes on what I delivered that day, so that's what you heard if you don't remember. And that's
no, I don't remember. I just knew I left there like super excited and like ready to go, and yeah.
Well, I really give it to you, Josh, because to go from like really where it's like traumatized to triumph, we want to unpack that story now because I think people really need to know the difference makers that you both are. So, Josh, just to validate the pain that you were in, I went back and looked at your 2016 numbers, and Steve and I were just in the car like blown away. We're like, wow, how is that guy making it, and gal? So in 2016, here's some important stats. Our philosophy is that there's 3 ways to build a practice, as you also learned that night. And it's the care system that we talk about. Case acceptance, retention, and the experience and acquisition of new patients, right? Steve and I were talking about, so often people in dentistry, 9 out of 10 would say, I need to build my practice through new patients. Hard to do in a place that's not growing. So if you think that that's the only way, you're only going to go so far. So there has to be other ways, and the standard practice is a drill, fill, and bill mentality, and you stepped into another type of practice, which is called a complete health dental practice that focuses on retention, because that's how you know people are getting healthy, because they see you regularly, and then when they're there, if they need treatment, they invest in it. So those are the 2 areas that we went to work on. Now here's where you started from. This was great. I really enjoyed seeing this, because I know the after. It's like when you know the after, it's not fair.
I don't know if I want to know.
This is a blast from the past. So you're going to like this.
We'll stay in this. So treatment presented and treatment accepted. So we have this dashboard that we plugged into your system, and it goes into, you have Dentrix here, right? EagleSoft. I'm sorry, EagleSoft. So you presented $39,000 a month on average. $39,000 in dentistry on average. And you got 23,000 accepted for a 60% conversion rate. Conversion rate's pretty good, but that presented amount and that accepted amount is like extremely, extremely low. So that's your restorative care. And then your hygiene was interesting to me. 1,300 presented and 1,000 accepted for a 72% conversion rate on average in 2016. Like, we can laugh about it now, but like there's real pain there, and like, it's no coincidence, because most doctors, Steve and I were talking, they look at like what's happening today, what's in my bank account today, what's right? It's like,
oh yeah, I have payroll in 2 weeks, I have a tax deposit in 3 weeks, and that's on your mind when you should be doing dentistry.
Right.
I mean, at this level, that has got to weigh as heavily as everything else that you're trying to do as a clinician.
Yeah. And what we do here is we look upstream. These are called upstream numbers instead of downstream numbers. Downstream numbers are production, collection, how much is in my bank account. Upstream numbers is when you present treatment here, it ends up here. That's how you get certainty. That's how you take time off, right? Those are all the things that you couldn't do when you have these types of numbers. Mm-hmm. And then we look at what's after that, which is your hygiene reappointments. So this was interesting. We like to see, meaning like when a patient leaves the hygiene room, they leave with an appointment. So back in 2016, you were at 60%. And then in 2019, you're at 87. That is an upstream number that tells you, because here's what we know. It takes 10 times the amount of energy to call somebody and get them back in that hygiene department. So retaining them and teaching your patients some of the tools that we're going to unfold on how you move this needle is what we're gonna talk about. But what do you think about some of these numbers? Like what comes to you as I unfold these?
How number one, how far we've come, but number two, like I guess you don't know what you don't know. Like I never knew that those numbers were as bad as what they were until I knew differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you know better, you do better, right? And the last thing is we look at is new patient net for each month. So what I mean by that is most people say, oh, we got 15 new patients, like we're doing well. But actually they don't look at the net number, which is the total patient base growing or shrinking. So back in 2016, you were shrinking at a 13 patient per month rate, meaning you would get 15 in the front door, 19 would be recaptured on average, and then you would lose 50 a month. So lost means that at 18 months, during that month, you're considered a lost patient. So you have a chance at reactivating them, but it's like 10 times as difficult when there's not active care happening. So, and then, we'll talk about how you have a retention of more than 4 times that now. Yeah. So it's extraordinary. So, thank you. Well, let's talk about how we got there. Mm-hmm. What was the turning point, Natasha, when you were observing him? It's always good to get an outside perspective. I love, do you remember a point when you saw Josh shift over from that survival place to a place of, this is who we are, this is, I'm finding out about you. You remember that moment? Do you remember, or that time? You remember, was there any, point that you can remember?
Oh. When you actually thought he deserved something. Yeah. Just to accept that you deserve the car you want. You deserve to take time off. You deserve a vacation. And then just to watch him grow here in the office with patients. And to be open with the treatment planning and to be open with everything he does when he treatment plans, it comes from the heart. That's the one thing here. And you are, you are on the hamster wheel. You're going and you're going and you're going. Our patients are family. And I think whether it's small town Ohio or New York City, patients are family. You get to know them. And to finally just watch him treatment plan and say it. Say it. They're either going to say yes, no, maybe, it's there. But to know that too, do you deserve, whether they say yes or no, that's not going to affect. You did you.
You did you. That's a great quote. Mm-hmm. And you remember the you did you moment? You remember that moment where you were grappling with it and you finally let go? Is there a moment in time or a space that you can remember?
I do remember. I don't remember the specific instance, but I remember, I was doing an exam and I think there were 3 crowns and so I just said, crown, telling the hygienist, and she charted it, and then, I actually got in and I did the methodology. I pulled up the pictures, I showed them the x-rays. I said, these are problems that if we don't correct, whatever the consequence was going to be. And then I said, the only way that we can treat this predictably is with these crowns. And they're like, okay. And it was like, you're kind of taken aback when somebody finally says okay to you. And at that moment, I'm like, this can work. I don't have to be afraid to tell people as long as I have the stuff to back it up.
Yeah, and spouses and doctors are listening to that and they're going, he's an overnight sensation. And I'm going to say, no, we need to unpack this a little bit because you did some work on yourself between your ears. And the work we do is process and it's purpose, but it's also like how you think about it. These limiting beliefs we're talking about, Steve, right?
Yep, self-limiting.
We all have like limiting beliefs and we don't realize it. And in my second book, I got to see that when I helped grow practices, the first thing that people would do would sabotage them. And that's what I was doing. I'd have great relationships, I would sabotage it. I would have money, I would get rid of it. I just couldn't receive. And I created a distinction because I needed to get past where I would like mentally kill off things. And I was tired of doing that. And I invented something called Raise Your Healthy Deserve Level. And it's my second book. And I remember you coming to the course. Where were we? We go to the Caribbean, or where were we when you went to your first Raise Your Healthy Deserve Level course?
That was St. Croix.
St. Croix. So we're in St. Croix, and the work we do there is about really identifying the 5 domains of health for a practitioner. It's financial health, physical health, social health, mental health, and spiritual health. And it's an inside job. Like most people think it's just systems, Steve, but if you didn't raise, and I'll define healthy deserve level. In life, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you think you deserve. So if you don't think you can receive the money that you're going to generate from the treatment plan, the mind kills off the treatment recommendation. And then once you peel yourself out of it, you just become purposeful. So 2 things happen. You were able to receive through deserve level, and then you became highly purposeful as a complete health dentist. What does that mean to you, complete health dentist?
It's a new way. It's a new way of thinking. It's a new way. It's hard to put into words. It's a way of not only living your life, but also helping people live their life to the fullest. Because with everything that we know now about the oral systemic link and how the mouth affects the body, we can't bury our heads in the sand anymore. We can't ignore parodontitis. We can't ignore airway issues. And they're not separate and distinct, fields of study. Like they're all interconnected. And I feel as dentists, we're in the unique position to where we can start bringing physicians on board simply by talking to them, referring people to them, giving them our observations. So it's improving the quality of life of everybody, and ultimately everybody wins when you do that.
Yeah, so what happened was we got you out of your head, took you 18 inches down to your heart, because that's where your sole purpose lies, and you came from that purpose of helping people, right? Not feeling like you're taking from people, yes. Or in your case, like, hey, surviving, what can I get here to get through and pay the bills through this business, right? Those are different purposes, but when you truly understand that there's a human being in New London, family member, that you can now extend their life, make their life more productive, then the practice now has a bigger purpose, to have people look good and feel good and be healthy. And so that's the value creation that the process I watched you to go through. And then I call it not blocking the blessing. When you created the value, you didn't get in the way of it, Josh. Mm-hmm. And so often we'll see doctors, especially in rural towns, where it's like, if I really want a Tesla, but if I'm seen driving down this road in a Tesla, I can't be in that. So I have to drive a beat down Pinto with wood on the side. I know that's not you, but it was a rusty F-150. All right, there you go. But that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. I mean, that you can still get away with being cool in that, but especially in a farming town. But ultimately, it's like we block the blessings of travel around the world and having the car we want to drive. And you're the most humble family. You're the most humble couple that I get to work with. And then to be able to simultaneously drive your beautiful Tesla down Main Street of New London, that is what it looks like. So it's not boasting that you have it, but it's like you actually can be in it and be okay with it, right? And tell me about that process.
It took a long time. You know, I like my deserve level, you know, kept going up as I kind of became aware of it and where I was blocking myself. But it was still a hard, you know, a hard thing to do. And then just one day, I don't know what clicked. I'm just like, you know what? I don't care. Like I've worked hard for this. You know, I deserve this. I don't really care what anybody thinks. And the ironic thing is nobody's ever said anything like negative about it. And, you know, especially in this town, like I keep waiting for somebody to do it and nobody does.
I would imagine you get people who say, awesome car, doc.
Oh my God, I get thumbs up all the time.
Right. But that's what you were afraid of.
Yes, yeah.
But here's what happens, and I watched you unfold this journey, and you're still on it, and I love it. What happens is that we're flippered around, and we care about what people think, and that keeps us in our box. That's level one, and we all go through it. Then all of a sudden, you become an author of your future. You self-author. But when there's too much self, it becomes self-absorbed or self-centered. You're at the place now, and I can't wait to talk about where your future lies and what's going to happen in this town because of all this amazing work. It's called Transformational Self. You take care of yourself, your family, you have more than enough. And then you take care of the people around you. And you live a legacy. You don't leave a legacy. I mean, I know you're going to turn the big 4-0 this year. Yeah, I'm super psyched.
Thanks for reminding me.
But I got to bring it in because, you know, we can't tell. You look 25, but, you know, well, you're doing good. But we want to talk about like that journey of that you know, care too much about what people think and then not live the life you deserve because of family or what people in New London would think. And then get to self-authoring, which is important. You have to start taking control of your world. You did that, and now you're in a transformational self. It's a beautiful transition. I want to finish the thought process of the 5-step process. So first thing is that you get in the world of your patients. It's called a personal motivator. That is a powerful tool. Like, why are people buying dentistry? And it's never for the dentistry. So let's unpack that a little bit. When you hear personal motivator, what is that and how do you use it?
It's a way to relate to the patient. We consistently talk about how personal motivators are not meant to sell dentistry. They're meant to relate what they need to how that's going to impact their lives.
It's beautiful. I think you can take over for me now because that was very succinctly put. That was beautiful. And Natasha, when you see being in the world of other people, now all of a sudden they know that you care, right? I mean, when you do this work with personal motivators, because I know you do it with him, you probably do it with your team too, and of course your patients. Anything else about personal motivators that you've noticed happened in the practice that has impacted, you know, how you do things?
At some point, it's not a personal motivator. It's a conversation starter. Hey, your son was graduating. How did the graduate, like, now you want to know. Now you're in their life. Like, it's nothing to do with the dental practice. It's personal then.
Exactly.
So it's, and when that's their family. Walk through the door. That's what you're asking them.
And this is the turning point, because where Josh's head was, I gotta survive. When you're in survival, the attention's on you and people can feel that. And the minute you say, oh, now, and we've trained the team on it, they are in the world of the patients that come through and we find out what they're motivated by. And like you said so beautifully, we connect the dentistry to why they're here. We make life better for them. We take away things that they don't want. In my case, I don't want to get dementia. I don't want to get a heart attack like my dad, dementia like my mom. You know, and you can help me with that, right? You now know that you can educate patients and the science is directly connected. Now all of a sudden you're educating from a different place. And now how does the patient feel when you're in their world like that? I mean, what's it like?
You know what, we've had a lot of people say something to the effect of, nobody's ever talked to me about this stuff before, or I can't believe my old dentist didn't say this. You know, I never knew, you know, any of this, you know, you guys are awesome, because so like some variation of that, we get that routinely, and it's very gratifying to know that we're actually telling them that they have more problems than what they originally thought that they knew, but they're actually grateful that somebody is actually looking out for them and paying attention to this stuff for them.
Now, can you be in survival and deliver that message simultaneously?
No.
It's not possible. So two things can't hold the same space at the same time. So if you're in survival, you can't create abundance and contribution to people. So congratulations on going through that transformation. Like, Josh, that's a big deal. Natasha, that's a very big deal that you're able to do that for yourself. It's really cool.
That's a huge shift in your mindset. That what I see is you come out of dental school and it's almost completely contrary to what you learned.
Yeah.
Here's how you view a patient, here's how you treatment plan a patient, here's how here's how a patient is just your patient. You need to love your patients and take care of your patients, but they're almost an arm's length patient. You see them clinically.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to hear you tell how you connect with them and you meet them where they are. Yeah. And I think what you get back is them doing the same thing with you.
It's very liberating.
You're not a
to
tooth mechanic anymore.
Yeah.
You care about them as a patient, and you can feel happy going home with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And 4.8 Google stars, by the way.
Oh.
So, that to me is like my measuring stick on the value you're creating for people and the experience that they have. Because people are buying experiences, not dentistry, and you sell an experience here. It feels like a beach, it's light and airy, you're educating them, you're in their world. The second step is the healthy mouth baseline. And this is one of the keystones for the work that we do. So would you guys like to share about like what a healthy mouth baseline is and how do you use it?
For me, it's really invaluable to be able to, because a lot of times people come in and they forgot that their tooth hurt like a couple weeks ago, or they nobody's ever told them that grinding their teeth or snoring was a problem, and so they don't even mention that stuff. But when they fill that questionnaire out every single time that they're in, it gives us license. Not only are they telling us potential problems, but it gives us license to talk about that as well, and to integrate the complete health model into their treatment plan.
I got to see when I was going to practices, we used to have to go inside practices to do this, and now we don't have to do it. We can do it from video conferencing, which is awesome. It saves you time, money. It's pretty amazing. And what's really cool was when I used to go to practices, 6% of the time was talking about a patient's health. 94% was like about just prophy mill, get them through, get them out, and that's it. So now we're getting in their world. Now we're letting them know what's healthy and what's not. Now here's the thing. Men are in denial, women speak in code. So I love that because they're not going to sit there and tell you, like guys, right? We walk in, hey, everything's fine. Right. Yeah. I'm fine. And then the women are like, well, my hands are a little cold and I'm not feeling good, and like they can't tell you what it is, but the Healthy Mouth Baseline outlines your modality. So if you're doing implants, you're doing sleep, it allows you to focus the conversation. If they snore, now all of a sudden, that's the symptom to know to have that dialogue. So now in New London, we have this breadth of treatment that we can do because now we're defining what it is, and then we're reminding not just the patient, but the practitioner, because you just get into a treadmill mode and you don't have those dialogues. So it's a great tool to do that. And then the third step is, how often do you see a patient and they would come in and you would say, let's wait on that. I got to call.
Watch it.
Let's watch it. We were talking about put a Band-Aid on it, or just like have it be a Timex, just watch that thing. But it really creates the urgency, and the simplest way is the problem, consequence, and then keeping quiet. So was that hard for you? Or
my gosh, yeah. I still struggle with it.
So what is PS or PCS? What is that for you?
It's so rather we're trained to say this is your problem, this is how we fix it. What really works wonders and so much better is if you tell them that there's a problem, you tell them what happens when there's not a problem, the consequence of it, and then you're supposed to just be quiet. And that's where I struggle because I like to talk. But so sometimes I skip that more than what I should.
Yeah.
But when I do, the magic happens.
Yeah, it's great, Josh. And that's not an easy thing because we men want to fix things. So we want to go right to the solution. When most ladies, female dentists, don't have that big of a problem. It's so interesting, gender-based. And then he'd probably use this with you. Like sometimes you just want to be heard. You don't want him to fix your problem, right? Right? Like, just listen to me. Like, have you learned that one? Because that's more important than not telling the solution to the patient. Good, Josh.
I've learned not to open my mouth too much. So.
And then I see you have a hallway, and so often we would see, and these are the fundamentals of a business model that we're unpacking here. You know, you'd close in the back, you'd have the dialogue in the back, the patient says yes, they're all in, and then they walk down what I call, Steve,
The
hallway of amnesia.
Of amnesia.
You got the hallway here, they're all...
Yeah, I love that. He said that the other day, and I said, I'm going to write that down, I'm going to steal it from you. And it's true, it really is.
They walk down, they get gassed on the way to the front desk here, and it's like, hey, what do you want to do? So, you know, now you have a system to bring it from the back to the front. So what's that like?
Wonderful.
Why? What was it like before, and then what happened? Like, how was it before?
Before it was, are you going to schedule your treatment? Like, do you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this? Yeah, you call us. You call us and let us know when you want to set that filling or that. Yeah, think about it. Yeah. You just think about it. Now, we present every single thing they treatment plan. It's streamlined it. It's very simple for us up front. So treatment plan it, present it to the patient, and I want to say, get most of it on the schedule. You know, you're always going to have your no's or maybes or I'll call back, but the stress, it just makes it easier. And I think the one thing too is having the right team up front with me, because I don't want to have to be the treatment planner. I want somebody that's comfortable and being able to educate. So, you know, not just doctor, not just our ninjas or our hygienists educating, like having people up front that are comfortable talking about complete health and the passion. And it's not just on us now to be the voice of the complete health.
And carry it, right? Carry it yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a science behind hiring people, right? Because you're like, you have a less confront ability, right? Like to deal with money and stuff. So that's not your best place, right? You're a humanist, and we take the Myers-Briggs, we understand what your persona is, take the science behind it to get the right people in the right places doing the right things. And right now, everyone's saying because unemployment is so low, it's hard to get good people. And you told me earlier that you the new gal who just started, I forgot her name, I just met her. Mackenzie, I apologize. Like, she was on a wait list to get in here because you had no room for her and she wanted to work here, right? And that's unheard of. But it's because you've packaged your practice as a valuable asset and a great place to work. And when you do that, you'll attract talent because they're buying this as their purchase each day, Steve. Mm-hmm. You know, good team members are sitting there wanting good places to work. And Mackenzie mentioned to me, she goes, this is the only place I wanted to work, but there was no space for me. And so it was really nice to hear that there's a waiting list here to come in. And when you have that energy, it's called the Grapevine, because you know all these other people are calling Henry Schein reps and Patterson reps and going, hey, should I work with those people? And there's that grapevine, and they're going, no way. I was co-traveling with Henry Schein reps. They're 2-3 calls a day. They're like, hey, should I go to this practice? And your reputation on how you treat your team and package your practice creates that attraction of those team members. So it's pretty cool. And then, good, do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, it wasn't always that way with our team. It's through your coaching and your team's coaching that we're able to be who we are, be authentic with them, and be able to choose the team and have the team choose us. And I think we came down, you were in Columbus last month, and we brought 4 of them with us, and the 2 that have been with us the longest turned to me and said, you've changed so much. Thank you.
Wow.
And I can change, but it had to be said. that something. So, but it wouldn't have changed if we wouldn't have found you.
Yeah, thank you. And I always say, I give you the boat and you got to row it. You know, you got to do the work, and you did the work. So thank you for, and anything, no one wins alone, Steve.
Right.
You know, someone helps me give what I have away to you. And it's like golfers don't play alone. You know, they have coaches and they have support people, and you were willing to receive. I always say, like in our first month program, honest, open, and willing. Do you have enough patience to get where you want to be? And we determine that. And are you dedicated and committed to having a practice of your dreams? And if you are, this works 100% of the time. It's not for people that need it or want it. It's for people that do it. And you did it. And you continue to do it. See, that's the other thing. It's an unfolding. It's like, it's always work, but it's not struggle work. It's like the next summit to reach. So anything worth having is work. So now you're going into your next phase. And I just want to finish the last fifth piece, which is fitting treatment into the patient's lifestyle. So just to review, we went through personal motivator, we went through a healthy mouth baseline, we highlighted the problem, the consequence, and I'm gonna record you to make sure you're shushing, not solutioning, because when we first built this, it was solution, but we had to pull that away, and we just want you to shush and let the patient come to you. Very powerful, because now they're buying. You don't have to sell anything. When you're offering solutions to people without their permission, then you're selling. When they ask you, hey, how can you help me fix this? Now they're buying, and they've given you permission to say, here. It's a beautiful space to be in. And then what we found was the bleeding point was going down that hallway, because they just get confused. And then here's what we know. The mind makes money more, time more, and pain more. So they get squirrely in 3 seconds down that hallway, and we have to bring them back one more time, sit down with the treatment coordinator, and fit the treatment into the lifestyle. So it's really, you know, Steve, this is sales 101, but, you know, people in dentistry hate sales. So what I did was, as you know, we just codified it and made it simple, right?
And I think you have to quit thinking of it as sales. I mean, you're treatment planning your patient procedures and treatment you believe they need, and they do. I mean, you're not trying to sell them something they don't need so you can buy a new Tesla. Yeah. You're telling them what they need. You went to school, you understand it, and I think it's interesting what you said. You would treatment plan based on what you think they would buy, and they sense that. So even if you're selling, they sense that.
That's right.
So yeah, it's not selling, and that's a bad word in dentistry. I think it's a bad word in dental school. And I think to some degree you're brainwashed to think that. Yeah. And so yeah, it has to be a big change for you.
We call it educating rather than selling. Right. We don't sell, we educate.
Yeah, that's very different, because that's a value add to the person receiving. And the last thing you have to do is tie it in a bow, and there's agreements. And we have agreements, whether it's for implementation or for a case acceptance, and it's who's going to do it, what are you going to do, and by when will you get it done. So that agreement has to be done when sitting down with the patient. Yeah, so guys, I mean, this conversation, I mean, are you present to? You started out and you were like, I'm ready to give this thing up. I'm ready to sell it to corporate. I just want to go do dentistry. And what would your life be like if you made that choice? What would it be like if you chose to go into corporate dentistry? What would that be like for you?
I can't even wrap my head around it. I know I wouldn't have the freedom that I do now. Yeah. I feel like, because I've talked to people who've been in corporate and I feel like you kind of sell your soul, like when you work corporate, because they have mandates that you have to meet. They do sell and they upsell and they do things that I'm just completely inherently against. So I can't even wrap my head around it. Yeah. I don't think I might not even be in dentistry if I had to do that.
Huh. Yeah, and I just think of like the quality of life at home and how much money you'd be able to make and live and do some of the things that you're doing now. So here's where you were, as I'd mentioned earlier in today's episode, 39,000 presented, 23,000 accepted on average in 2016. And then here you are in 2019, 188,000 presented, 106,000 accepted. Just congratulations. I mean, that's nothing short of extraordinary. And it's because you've done the work and you apply it on a regular basis. And you know when you fall off, we spoke about falling off, you get back on the horse. And this is a testament to that.
In a one stoplight town.
Yeah.
It is extraordinary.
And And then, I look at hygiene case acceptance, which was really pretty interesting. And you presented 1,300, a month, and you got 1,000 accepted.
It's shameful. It really is shameful.
And now you're up to 15,000 and 10,000. These are just hygiene codes, soft tissue programs and things like that. Yeah. So, 10 times on accepted, what is that, 15 times or 10 times on presented. Mm-hmm. So it's really extraordinary. And then another one of my favorites is, I mentioned earlier, 68% hygiene reappoint. So they would leave without, 3, a little bit more than 3 would leave without an appointment. That's just like going into a black hole. Yeah. And now you're almost at 90 and change. So, that's a big deal. And that's, that allows you to keep growing your patient base. When new patients come in, they don't go out the back door. And that's the kind of statistic that allows you to put your mind at rest and know that you have control over your business. It's not controlling you. Mm-hmm. Because you're not sitting there going, because you can't control production and collection for that day, because what happened in production and collection for that day happened upstream when you reappointed that patient. Because if they don't show up in the hygiene, you can't educate them using that 5-step healthy patient blueprint. And if you can't do that, you lose the retention revenue and you lose the case acceptance mm-hmm. revenue. So, and then lastly, you were shrinking at 13 patients a month, and now you're growing at almost 30 patients a month, 28 patients a month. Net. Now this is net.
You're keeping.
This is net patients, 26, right? 20.
Yeah, in a one stoplight town. Really, you do the math on that. You just think about that. In a one stoplight town, your net is 28 new patients a month that you keep.
Wow.
That's astonishing.
Yeah. But you were leaking 13 before. You're 3 times more effective at growing your patient base, because 13 times 3 is about 39, a little less, right? But almost 3 times more effective than where you were in 2016. And here's the problem for dentists, that they don't see the shrinking happening, because right. You really can't see 13 patients shrinking a month, but if you do the math over 3-4 years, it just gets smaller mm-hmm. and smaller. And this is how you can sustain the results that you were getting. You said you were flat, and do you find yourself continually growing? Like, how did you end up, this month? I just heard that people stayed late to, yesterday was the last day of the month. And what happened, Natasha? What happened for you?
They hit their BBM, and so we collected over 125,000. One doctor, and they get bonused.
Yeah.
And it was a team effort.
Exactly, because they care.
Yes.
Now here's the change. The reason why they care is because the game board changed. You were playing golf on a football field. You were trying to hit a ball in a hole, grow your practice. Your team's trying not to lose. They think if they're busy and they gave their sweat or blood for the day, that's their currency. Versus now you have an appointment coordinator that schedules equal to or greater than, a hygienist that does the production and then the treatment planning from their room, the assistant that drives your schedule. They're not just turning instruments, they change their behavior. And then a treatment coordinator who actually converts the case and makes sure collections happen. A BBM is bare butt minimum. And that mm-hmm. number, Steve, is, I believe that a bonus needs to be triple win. Mm-hmm. So often we talk about, bonuses are, you're giving money away for no change in revenue. So you're just paying people more, and then it does the opposite, because the team gets angry, mm-hmm. breaks morale, right? But they're not driving the practice. Who would stay late on the last day of the month in the past without knowing that there was something in it for them?
Nobody.
Right?
Mm. Well, you don't pay a bonus when you fail. That's the thing.
Right.
You pay a bonus when you succeed and you do more than you thought you were going to do, which leaves more for you to build your life, build your practice, and that's why the best people want to work here. Yeah. Really, that's part of it. The best people don't want to work for an average organization. So that's one of the reasons that I think they're in it as much as they are, is they see that and they feel that. And you're very genuine about it. Yeah. I believe you like to write those checks, and you do. And once you get your head there, I'm the same way. I love to give out bonus checks, because it means the organization did well, we all did well, and we can't do it without having happy customers and happy patients. So, it's great that you guys get to do that almost every month.
And then when you start getting a consistency, you start looking out into the horizon, because you're not living in so much fear and no space, right? So you start looking out, and you started to look out at your vision of what was possible for this town and this community. And, I know I'm going to get moved by it because, I sat in the back, like you said, you went to St. Croix, and this year, it's a rough life we have here. But now we're in Costa Rica at the HDL course. But the HDL course is designed to go somewhere because it takes money, it takes time. It takes you out of your environment so that you can think clearly, and I'll never forget this moment, Natasha. Here I am sitting in the back of the room I have on a break, and you share this amazing thought with me of your vision of what's possible for the people of New London and the surrounding areas. And I wasn't going to cry, but you got me, because I'll never forget that moment. And what is your vision for this town?
To make the whole town healthy, to open up a clinic that will serve the population that we forget about sometimes. They deserve to be healthy too. It's gone from it's just going to be dental to let's bring in medical. Let's have a doctor here if we can. Let's make it that clinic that can open up care. We don't have that here. How do we make it so that they don't have to pay? So that it is a free clinic. And it's going to happen.
Yeah, so she's sitting in the back, she tells me this, and my favorite line ever, hearing from Josh, I go, tell me about your town. And he goes, well, my practice looks like a double wide. If it had wheels, it would be a double wide. And I don't know, Steve.
Yeah, it's close. It's very nice. It's a very nice double wide.
Only the best.
That literally, that was a quote that we should always remember, And so you had this vision of what was possible for you in your practice. So tell us about that.
About the building?
Yes.
So we were getting ready to completely gut this place because we've outgrown it. We didn't have any space really. We added a room, but it took over her office. So we were getting ready to gut it and reconfigure it. And in passing, a patient said, "Oh, the electric co-op building is for sale." And I had no idea, and so I called the realtor, and long story short, we ended up purchasing a space that's twice the size of this. So, the ultimate plan is to move our operations from here to there, but like Natasha said, keep this as dental, maybe add medical, maybe even move medical in over where we're at. So the possibilities are kind of limitless with what we can do.
Yeah, congratulations. And it wasn't an easy move because you had to make that decision to pull the plug on buying a building. And what was that like for you? That was I'll never forget sitting in the back of the room and you just looked at me and you were like, should we do it?
Yeah, I asked, should we do it? And your exact words to me were, stop blocking blessings. That's what you said to me. And I never looked at it that way. Because it's not that we couldn't do it. It's the fear of the unknown. You're going to make this investment. Is it going to work? Just all of the thoughts going through. And I hadn't even told him I had talked to you about it. And I stood up and said something. I said, we're going to buy this building. And he just looks at me like, we are?
I was trying to get all my friends to tell her we should buy it, and they were here, and all I needed to do was ask Gary.
That was perfect. And you heard this on Twitter in a room, pretty much out on social media, and what happened for you? What did you, what happened for you?
It was one of those moments to where you kind of don't know how to react because you go from thinking something can't happen and then all of a sudden, unbeknownst to you, it's happening, and you kind of don't know what to do with yourself, but you know, overall you kind of feel elation that that you know, we're continuing to evolve, we're continuing to move forward with our vision, for not only the town, but just for the county.
Yeah, and now your footprint is now the county, and your footprint expands past people that have PPO plans. Now you're taking care of people that don't have a lot of anything.
Yeah.
And begin to think about the impact that you're now making. The dentist in the center of town, next to the McDonald's. When that McDonald's went in, what happened?
Oh, it was like the lines. It was the biggest thing in like 30 years. Like the lines were around the corner to get to McDonald's.
We were so surprised to see McDonald's in the middle of nowhere. We're like, are we in the desert? Like, how did that happen? We were so surprised. Like, McDonald's a block away, and now you're next to McDonald's. You know, McDonald's knows location, location, location. Now you have this high-profile place. You've transformed your life because those steps of the Tesla lead to the building because your deserve level, you keep staying open. You keep staying out of the way of the value you create, both of you. And to do it on every level is like an American story for a small town. You know, the title of this, is Corn, Cows, and Crowns. We thought we'd have fun with that, right? And we saw corn, cows, and crowns.
We saw horses.
And horses.
Yeah, we saw it all on the way there. It's a beautiful place. But
it really is.
It's a small town. And, you know, we talked a little while ago that just as a rural practice, you know, what you do is truly extraordinary. There are people who watch this that will say, that's impossible. They're making that up. They're, you know, fudging some of it. And I can't speak for you, but I would assume that you would say, yeah, you know, hey doc, if you're struggling, if you're down to 2 seconds from giving it up, call me. And yeah, you know, I'll be glad to just share with you and open it up and tell you how I did it.
100%. If anybody wants to get a hold of me or us, we're willing to talk about anything, because I've never been the smartest guy in the room. I'm not, you know, I'm not, you know, some special dentist. You know, I haven't done extensive training in anything, but I think if you're authentic and you're caring and you have the proper sequencing in place, you can do anything.
That's beautiful. Yeah, thank you for your generosity. And how about for you, my dear? You're visionary, you know, and now this whole possibility of all people healthy in this county. What's that like for you?
Awesome. I mean, it's what we want. And it may be my vision and it may be through his support, but I have a team that believes in that vision, that when we came back and I told them, every single person is on board. They want it to happen. They know what it's going to bring. You know, they're all local. They live, you know, within the communities or surrounding communities, so they know. And pick up the phone and call us.
That's very nice.
It's a pretty long journey from 10 o'clock at night and where the heck are you and don't spend any money to where you are now.
Like, we're here. We're very open and transparent with everything. Our team would talk to anybody. It's real. We're not hiding anything. It's real.
And what about from a spouse level? There's so many spouses that are in dentistry, and so often living behind maybe a shadow of the dentist, or like having your own life and having a life inside of this. What would you offer up to spouses as something that's possible for them?
The first thing you have to do is be open. Don't close, don't shut down, don't block it, don't say.
Were you there?
I was there. I was right, I was the person, I was the wife, I knew everything. I don't know everything. I'm the wife at home. Here, he is Dr. Merrill to me. He is my partner here, but he's also the person I look to as my boss. And you don't know everything. I don't know everything. And I will turn to one of them up front and say, what do you think? And they go, Natasha, why are you asking us? Or why are you asking me? Because I want to know. You have to open and realize you want to make that change.
Yeah.
And once you shouldn't have to change, but you want to change. Like, just, it'll be the best decision that you make. It'll change your marriage. And then it makes it easier here at work. So, I mean, it did that mindset change of, he's the doctor. We're a partner together. You know, that's.
What I'm hearing you say is something that Judith and I came up with. I drive the car at work, and she's the passenger. And then at home, she drives the car, and I'm the passenger. And that works really, really well when you distinguish it that way. That's what I was hearing you say. And you're a powerhouse at home, and now to have your own game here with this community service medical dental center, and then having an abundant practice down the street here, you really have the best of both worlds. In my opinion, what we stand for in this great country of ours, it's like taking and giving simultaneously, and taking not arrogantly or like greedily, but serving people, and then being able to receive, and driving the car you want, and being in the building that you want, and having the things that you want, the experience for you and your family, traveling and doing the things and having the time that you want, and then for you to do what you're doing in terms of this. It's all working together. And the last thought I'll leave you with is this. Getting stuck and flat in a business, Steve, I always found like if there's no good place to put money, you don't make it when you start getting to the point that you're at. And when you start giving it away, it actually comes in abundance in a brand new way, because the universe around you knows that you're going to use it for good things, not greed. Because there's a universal truth of reciprocity in the world, and you've demonstrated that so beautifully as you've unfolded your life, as you've unfolded what's going to be possible here in New London. So thank you. And Steve, take us home.
This is, I want to also thank you. Again, I talk to a lot of dentists, have a lot of reach. You know, I have a magazine that reaches a majority of dentists.
Is it 100,000?
It's 125.
125.
Our reach is about 125. And I hear stories every day. And I hear a lot of desperation calls every day. And I hear a lot of dentists who are exactly where you were. And they just can't see a way out. And their wife wonders, why are we doing this every day? And so you start to think of all the other things you could do. And so when Gary and I started to talk about this and we sort of broke it down, you know, it's easy for us to go to New York City and find somebody and, you know, how did they grow their practice? I don't know, their marketing reach spread out. There are a lot of mechanics you can do, but you guys have done something really extraordinary. I don't know if you know that, but, you know, we were talking earlier. It's hard to get that. And maybe you go to reunions, you know, dental school reunions, and somebody says, how much are you doing? Or we saw this, and those kind of numbers are just astonishing. And they think there's magic in it. And there's magic in a sense, but the magic is you change your mindset, you get the right tools, you get the right coaching, you do what you're good at, you do what you're good at, and you let somebody else do what they're really good at. It attracts a good team, and you know, that kind of magic does happen. But it's not one little thing, it's not a bonus system you put in place. It's how you think and believe and approach your business. And it really is. I'm really glad to be here. This is a very wonderful experience just to come see what you guys do.
Thank you.
So, thanks for having me.
Congratulations.
No,
Thanks for the time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
I'm a hugger.
Yeah. We're hugging it out. We're hugging it out.
Congratulations.
Thank you for that. That was a beautiful.